It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does, and good to have you with us on this Monday edition of the show. A lot to do over the next 60 minutes. We'll be joined by our friend Matt Verderame, NFL insider over at SI. Get some thoughts with him on week 2 of the NFL preseason. Some controversy in tennis to talk about. Caitlin Clark continues to shine the weekend in Major League Baseball and how it's all shaping up for the postseason and beyond. But we start things out in the NFL, and who knows, Matt Verderame may have an opinion on what Sam Yarnell and I are about to discuss. Sam, I was watching quarterbacks this weekend. Not just games, quarterbacks. Watching quarterbacks this weekend. And did I take the Giants last week to win over 6.5 games, by the way? Was that me? Is that me that made my pick? So. Or was that like an out-of-body experience and somebody else did it and I was standing over here watching that happen? I think it was because I couldn't in my right mind possibly have picked the Giants to win 6.5 games when Daniel Jones is playing the way he's playing right now. It was tough to watch.
It was truly impressive, Jason, for someone to come back and be that bad as Daniel Jones was. Yeah. I have a screenshot of his stat line somewhere at one point, and I'll go back and find it during this segment. I believe the opening 2 drives for Daniel Jones, he was 3 for 7 for, I want to say, 30-something yards. 2 picks. One of them was a pick 6. The other one was a pick in the red zone. Horrible. My goodness. This is the guy you're paying $40 million? Oof.
I'll tell you what. Here's the thing about Daniel Jones. And what bothers me isn't if you're a little rusty, if you're missing a throw here and there, the timing's just a bit off because now it's gameplay versus practice and scrimmages and all that. It was the decision-making again. You know, that the pick 6, that can't happen. You cannot be trying to make a play in that spot to try and complete a pass. Just get rid of the football. Just get rid of the football. You cannot throw a pick 6 in that spot. It isn't like baseball. Here's the thing. In baseball in preseason, pitchers are working on things. You don't care if a pitcher pitches to an 80 ERA in spring training, especially if you know that pitcher and you know their pedigree, because a lot of times they're working on things. They might be working on a new pitch. They might be, trying a different grip. They're working on things. That isn't the way the NFL works. That isn't the way the NFL preseason works. Sure, there are guys that can flip the switch. If Patrick Mahomes has a bad game, am I looking at it in the same way I'm looking at it if Daniel Jones has a bad game? No. But it's the decision-making I saw from Jones in that game that leaves me wondering. And you have no options if you're the Giants, which leads me to the question, Sam. When you look around this preseason, you see Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Neither of them are looking great, like world beaters. Gardner Minshew gets the starting job in Las Vegas with the Raiders. And it makes me wonder, who's going to be the first NFL starting quarterback to lose their job? I would like to say it's Daniel Jones, but the Giants don't have anything else to go to.
Well, I wouldn't go as far as saying that, Jason. I mean, this is going to sound satirical, and I promise, folks, I don't mean it in that way, but like Tommy DeVito did show flashes last season that he could potentially be better than Daniel Jones. The cap hit is the really tough thing, right? Because you're in a spot with Daniel Jones where you can't cut him. You're paying him $1 bazillion. But at the end, go ahead.
I said $1 bazillion.
At least. That may be an understatement, quite frankly. Here's the thing. This conversation boils down to like 5 teams, right? And there is one that I'll give out at the very end that is just kind of a joke, but like not really. It's a joke in the same vein that Robert Saleh being on the hot seat before last season was kind of a joke. Like, yeah, it's a joke, but probably is true. Anyway, My answer to this question is easy. It's Jacoby Brissett. They're going to name Jacoby Brissett the starter because they don't want to win games. And by the time they get to the bye week, which I believe for the Patriots is week 6, they have a soft schedule coming out of their bye week. They'll throw in Drake May, who we continue to hear good things about coming out of camp. And that's what you've really got to look for in these situations where they've already kind of committed to one quarterback being their starter. And the Patriots are pot committed to Jacoby Brissett being their starter, but they continue to put out this good press about Drake May. And I really do think Drake May will be the Patriots starter by week 8 of this season.
You just gave me a pot committed reference, so I'm sorry, my ears perked up. I hear poker parlance, and I start to think good things. But you think that's the first? You think that's the first change? Is week 7? No way.
Well, we're saying non-injury, right?
Yeah, I'm saying non-injury. Yes,
yeah.
I'm talking non-injury. I think you could see changes before that, especially in Pittsburgh, where I don't even know if Mike Tomlin, as of 11:57 a.m. Eastern on Monday morning, August 19th. I don't even know if Mike Tomlin knows the way this thing's going to go in Pittsburgh with the Steelers right now, because neither of these guys are tearing up the town. And I heard Matt Hasselbeck this weekend saying, well, if it's a draw, you go with the younger, more athletic guy with the bigger upside and all that. And I'll probably buy into that. But I don't even know if Mike Tomlin knows who the starting quarterback by week 3 or week 4 is going to be in Pittsburgh.
And the thing is, with the Pittsburgh situation, I feel like it's so dependent upon who's their week 1 starter. If Justin's their week 1 starter, they will wait a lot longer to go to Russ than if Russ is their week 1 starter. They'll go to Justin a lot more quickly just because of the nature of those guys' careers and their ages and where they're at on the spectrum of quarterbacks. But one thing I got to fit in here, Jason, as we're running out of time is I was watching the quarterbacks this weekend like you, because that's about all you can take with any sort of reliance in the preseason. And a guy who looked horrible, I am talking awful.
Next level.
Brock Purdy. 2 for 6 for 11 yards. We were talking about decision making with Daniel Jones. Brock Purdy looked, if you go back and watch the tape, his decision-making was about as good as Daniel Jones was in this preseason game. If it was just an off day for him, who knows? But you cannot do that against the New Orleans Saints. I don't care if it's the preseason.
I'm still probably, again, with somebody like that, I'm going to give some benefit of the doubt to it in one game. Now, if we see it in another preseason game and week 1 and week 2 looks bad, then you start to go, maybe we've got a trend. One game doesn't make a trend, so I'm not gonna go there with him. Daniel Jones, there's a trend here. The guys in Pittsburgh with the Steelers, there's a trend there. Matt Verderame will get his thoughts on this and a whole bunch more. Sports Wrap continues.
What if you could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day, just by brushing your teeth.
I never thought that whitening my teeth could be so easy. I just put the gel on the brush, the toothpaste on it, brush, and I can see my white teeth.
Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth. Without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist. And it was about time that a product was developed that you would be able to do that with just brushing.
And now, Smile Actives is even better with new Pro Whitening Gel with 33% greater whitening power, clinically shown to whiten teeth faster, up to 8 shades. 100% of users saw whiter teeth. On food stains, coffee and wine stains, even on veneers, crowns, and dentures.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Why spend hundreds of dollars for whitening treatments at the dentist when now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth? Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one, get one absolutely free for just $24.95. That's 2 for $1 and save 58%. We'll even include free shipping. Get your teeth whiter guaranteed or return it within 60 days for your money back.
I smile every day now.
The difference is literally night and day.
So now I'm always smiling, always choosing, because now my teeth are much whiter.
This offer is not available in stores, so call or click now before the special buy one, get one free offer goes away.
Attention families with a loved one in a nursing home. If your loved one has suffered from bed sores, falls, broken bones, dehydration, or even death, you may be entitled to a substantial settlement. If you have a loved one who is injured in a nursing home, we will find out what happened. State violations are found against nursing homes every day. You have a limited time to file your claim, so don't wait. Call 800-398-5999 and speak with one of our attorneys. The call is confidential and free.
All right, rolling along on this Monday edition of Sports Wrap. Talk some NFL to start the show. I'll be curious to see what Matt Verderame has to say about this question we were just discussing in the opening segment of the show. He, of course, the Matt Verderame Show. On Patreon, you can also see clips of it all over social media. SI, NFL Insider, and proud to say a friend of the show. I wanted to get you before I go away on this vacation we're going on. And it's the last time I'll get to talk NFL with you, basically before the season begins, or up right until the season begins. We were just talking about quarterbacks. And I was asking the question, which quarterback will be the first to lose their starting job this season? And Sam says, well, he thinks it could be, Jacoby Brissett, that Drake May could get the job maybe when their schedule lightens up week 6, week 7. I think anybody who's the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh could be the first to lose their starting job. I don't know where you go if you're the Giants, if Daniel Jones plays the way he did in this preseason game this weekend. Gardner Minshew gets the starting job in Oakland. Is that for good? Or Oakland, Las Vegas. Is that for good? If I ask you who you think is the first starting quarterback in the NFL to lose their starting gig, not because of injury, but because of poor play, who would it be?
My initial immediate thought was Russell Wilson. That they have nothing invested in him. He's there on a vet minimum for 1 year. If he stinks or he's just not that good and they think they can do better, they go that route. Now, I don't know that Justin Fields is any better. Justin Fields might be worse. But, the most popular guy in a lot of NFL cities is the backup quarterback. That's the guy we go, oh, well, what about this guy? What about that guy? It tails all this time. I'll give you one, though, that I don't think this is going to happen just because of the money, but there's also a part of me that would not be totally shocked. Deshaun Watson. I wonder if they get to a point where they're playing great defense and they can't score and they're 4-3 and they're frustrated as hell. And Kevin Stefanski says, you know what? I don't care. I'm done with this. I'm done. We're putting Jameis Winston in there. We're going to take our chances. And Watson's going to sit on the bench. And he's going to be the most expensive backup of all time. I think it would take a lot of balls to do that. I think you'd have to get ownership to sign off on that. I don't know if you get that signature, but that would be my, dark horse. But I'll say Russell Wilson.
I think if we gave Mike Tomlin truth serum right now and said, tell us who you think the starting quarterback by week 3 or week 4 is for the Steelers, I don't even, and this has to be really difficult for him, given all the stability he had for so many years with Ben Roethlisberger and the way this quarterback position has played out over the last couple of years since Big Ben. It has to be so frustrating for him because I bet you he couldn't even tell me who the quarterback's going to be come week 4.
They probably can't. Look, and they're a team that, they have at least playoff aspirations. They were in the postseason last year.
Absolutely.
And,
top 5 defense. Top 5 defense.
Defensively, they should be really good. Offensively, the line is so-so, but you've got Pickens, you've got Freiermuth, you've got this backfield of Warren and Harris. You have enough talent on that team. If you had a good quarterback play, you'd be a 10-11 win team. I don't know if they can even sit there and hang their hat on even decent quarterback play. I watched every snap of Russell Wilson last year, and for everyone who says, well, he threw 26 touchdowns and 8 picks, guys, he was horrific. Okay, they moved off of him and ate $85 million willingly in Denver because he was terrible. You don't do that if the guy's not terrible. So, look, the Steelers are hoping for a revival of one of these two guys, and I wonder if they'll toggle back and forth between them all year long.
What do you make of Daniel Jones and what we saw in the, is it one game? Is it, to me, it's the decision-making that's suspect, falling down in the end zone and falling away and throwing a pick six. It's the decision-making that bothers me. If you're missing guys because it's timing and real game speed or close to real game speed in the preseason, I get that stuff. Decision-making is what I'm looking at, though, and the decision-making just wasn't good.
Well, I mean, he's not good, and he hasn't been good ever. They paid him $40 million, and he threw 15 touchdown passes the year prior. And the Giants were like, that's fine. That's good enough. He wasn't good that year. He was good in terms of he didn't turn the ball over a ton, and he used his legs. And they rode Saquon Barkley to the playoffs, and then they got into the playoffs, and they played Ed Donatell's Vikings, who couldn't stop anybody ever all year long, and they won the game. And that's fine. Look, kudos to them. They never should have paid Daniel Jones. Everybody in the world knew when they signed him to that contract it was a terrible contract, but they gave it to him anyway. And so now you're in a position where, yes, if you're the Giants, I think you're going to ride this year out. He is not good. They're not going to be very good. And then it's going to be, okay, who do you draft? And this is a draft class that a lot of people think is not good at quarterback, although there are guys like Shedeur Sanders, Carson Beck, maybe Milroe out of Alabama, but most people think this is not a strong class of quarterback. So, look, I think the Giants are just going to hope for the best with Jones, but I wouldn't expect much based on his entire career to this point.
Give me a thought on Gardner Minshew getting the starting job in Las Vegas with the Raiders.
My understanding was, look, that Aiden O'Connell had a real shot at it, and that, frankly, I think they would have preferred to go that route if he had shined, but he didn't shine. And they paid Minshew to be a low-end starter, a really high-end backup. And the bottom line is now he is in there for at least the time being. Look, Minshew to me is a very, very good backup. That's what he is. He can win some games. Hell, he almost won the division with the Colts last year, but that was with Shane Steichen. And with all due respect to Antonio Pierce, he is not the offensive mind that Shane Steichen is. They do not have a Shane Steichen on that roster, or that staff, I should say. And so, listen, I think Minshew is better than O'Connell. I think he makes them better, but I still think that they're probably a bottom 4 team in the conference.
Yeah, they're plus 900, by the way, to win the AFC West if you're out of your mind and just want to hand me your money.
Yeah,
I'll kick you in the nuts and we'll call it a day. Is essentially the way we look at that. Their win total, where is their win total right now? That's their alt win total. I was just curious to see what they had on them for a win total. I'm not sure. But I am curious to see sort of what that team looks like because they were riding high. People really like Antonio Pierce. A lot of people lobbied and supported him in getting this job. And, I just hope they give him the time to sort of grow this thing out and get his own guys in there ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality is he's taken over for the mesh that was Josh McDaniels. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have a great offensive line. Defensively, it's Crosby and it's Wilkins up front, which is excellent. But after that, it's a lot of Patrick Graham having to do the heavy lifting at coordinator.
6.5, by the way. 6.5 is their win total. Stick around. I want to ask you something about Atlanta with the Falcons because I really like the last week they had. We're talking with Matt Verderame. Don't go anywhere. Sports Wrap continues. We're talking NFL. My man Matt Verderame is here, SI NFL Insider. Also host of the Matt Verderame Show on Patreon. We were just talking real quick in the break about the fact that you're going to be seeing the Chiefs in week 1. What'd you think of the Patrick Mahomes behind the back pass that everybody's talking about?
They've been trying to get him to do it for about 3 years. I mean, Andy's been pushing for him to throw a ball behind his back in a game. And so Mahomes finally did. According to Mahomes, it was because of a busted play. I guess Kelsey ran the wrong route, and Mahomes just whipped it behind his back to him. Although Kelsey will tell you that that's a lie. But, who do you believe? I'll take the quarterback. Yeah, I mean, look, I absolutely think at some point this year they're breaking that out in a regular season game. I think that is in play. My guess, after all the crap the Raiders have talked about Patrick Mahomes this offseason, I'm guessing it's against them on national television. That would be my guess, is they will, if they get up enough on them in a game at home, they'll go, okay, now's the time to throw a slant route behind my back. Let's see what happens. And, if it gets picked, who cares? That would be my guess as to when we'll see that.
Let's talk about the NFC South. Look, it's a relatively weak division. Think what you want of Tampa Bay getting into the playoffs last year, doing what they did. We all know what Carolina is. Obviously, Atlanta to me stands out. I love what they did in getting Judon. I love the move to get Simmons, the improvement on defense. I mean, this could be a double-digit win team. I think their win total is 9.5. I think they go over. They've got the weakest schedule in football, according to those that look at those things. They've got the weakest schedule out there. I think not only can they make the playoffs, I think they might be able to win a game. Am I nuts?
No, I would agree. I think they will win that division, and the NFC's not good, so they could win a playoff game at home. My big question with the Falcons is the coaching, and is that defense up front good enough, even with Judon? Because they don't have a lot of pass rush, and Judon is 32 years old. Like, there's a world here where Judon has 6 sacks, and they just can't get home. Like the Bears did this last year. They signed Yannick Ngakoue, and it was like, well, he's our pass rush. It's like, actually, it turns out, no, he's not. Now, I think Judon's better than Ngakoue, but that's, he's also a hell of a lot younger than Judon. So, listen, I think they got better, but, Raheem Morris has got to prove that he was the right hire. I like him. I think he's a very smart coach. Can he get the job done? We'll see. Secondarily, this defense, is it good enough? I don't know. I still have a lot of questions about it, but is it better today than it was a month ago or a week ago? Yeah, sure. So, look, I think they're the best team in the division. The Panthers are not good. The Saints do nothing for me. The Buccaneers, I think, are around 500. And if they win the division, could they win a home playoff game against, I don't know, the Rams, the Packers? I mean, yeah, sure, they could. They could do that.
Are you surprised that Tua Tagovailoa actually came out and said sort of the quiet part out loud about his relationship with Brian Flores versus Mike McDaniels, the belief that the latter has as opposed to the former in his abilities? I know he went on Dan Le Batard, said these things. The interview aired today. Yep. I don't know if you've seen it, but does it surprise you that Tua sort of was willing to vocalize that?
Yes, from the standpoint that usually guys just won't say that publicly. But, good for him. Good for him. I don't have any problem with him saying it. You know what? Brian Flores, by all accounts, was really tough on him. Now, you could argue, hey, look, that's the right way to coach him, the wrong way to coach him. Obviously, Tua didn't feel like it was the right way. I don't have any issue with it. Like, Brian Flores is a tough, demanding coach, and that style wasn't working with Tua. And, from what you hear down in Miami, yeah, it was a pretty bad relationship. So, I'm not surprised he felt that way or feels that way. I was a little surprised he said it publicly, but at the same point, you know what? If that's how you feel, you might as well say it. I don't have any beef with it, and I'm guessing Brian Flores probably doesn't either. So that's fine. He's got a right to it, and now we'll see what he does with the brand new contract.
We talked about Russell Wilson before. Talk about one of his former teams in Denver. Bo Nix has impressed early on. Something to build on? Do you take it with a grain of salt because of who he's doing it against in the preseason? Sort of where are you right now with Nix and sort of maybe this upward trajectory that some people are looking at when they watch his game?
I mean, I'd be very cautious on the idea that he's all of a sudden going to come in here and be great. Like, he's played against full-on backups, 2s and 3s, all preseason. Look, I think that it's better than if he came in and wasn't any good, right? Like, I mean, it's better than if he came in, he stunk against 2s and 3s. He also against Indianapolis. Like, I rewatched that game. I mean, he threw a bunch of balls like 4 yards downfield. I mean, it was fine. He averaged 6 yards per attempt. But he was not, throwing ball like when you watch Caleb Williams in the preseason, that kid is throwing passes. You're like, oh my God, like that's something like most guys would never try to do. And he's just zinging these balls all over the place. Bo Nix is not doing that. So, look, doesn't mean he's not going to be good, but I guess I have a grade of like incomplete at this point. I'm not going to pull a whole bunch of data from, hey, you faced nobody this entire preseason.
Does it surprise you, and I'm so glad you brought up Caleb Williams, does it surprise you that the odds makers are hanging such a high win total for that team with him as the starting quarterback, having not played it down in the league, at 8.5 wins? Does it surprise you the sort of optimism they're feeling around him, or do you think this is real?
Denver's win total is 8.5.
No. Chicago. Caleb.
Oh
Williams.
my God! I was going to say Denver. I was like, Jesus, I'd take the under. I put my whole house on it. No, I honestly, I saw the Bears.
Denver, by the way, 5.5.
Okay, that's fine. I saw the Bears in OTAs. I saw them at camp. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
Wow.
I think they're a 10-win team. They went. I'm trying to think what exactly it was here. They went 7-6 in their last 13 games last year, and they had no quarterback. Like Tyson Bagent played half those games. I think they're going to be pretty good. Now, the one thing that does concern me is the offensive line is in flux, and that's always scary. But they have weapons all over the place, and this kid can throw the ball. And Shane Waldron's a really good offensive coordinator. And I think, the downside is the division's hard. The upside is the conference isn't. So, give me Chicago as a wild card team, man. I think they're good. This kid is really good. I think that is the best division in the NFL, along with the AFC North.
Matt Verderame does a great job. SI, NFL Insider, the Matt Verderame Show over on Patreon. Go and catch it. My man, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you as always.
Sounds good. Take care.
We're coming back. All right, let's go. Segment 4, Sports Wrap on a Monday. We're back, and so is the WNBA, Sam Yarnell. The W is back. Caitlin Clark is killing it. She continues to be the story of this WNBA season, whether anybody likes it or not. And I think at this point, people are far more accepting of it because the numbers match the hype. The fact that Indiana's winning games, got good wins this weekend against Phoenix and Seattle. And Clark just continues to do great things right now. I know we could talk about Asia Wilson, and we will by decree of Sam Yarnell, who says, you have to talk about Asia Wilson. But the story is Caitlin Clark. That's what people want. That's what the people came to see. People are coming in big numbers to see Caitlin Clark. They're watching in big numbers to see Caitlin Clark. They're not watching in big numbers. I know Vegas does well attendance-wise because they are back-to-back champions. But to me, it's all about Caitlin Clark right now, Sam Yarnell, and what she continues to do, despite the fact that she got another technical foul and she's just 2 away from having to serve a 1-game suspension, although I have no idea why she got the technical foul that she got. First, let's talk about Caitlin Clark, then we'll get to Asia Wilson. I'm out of superlatives.
Well, first, let's talk about the WNBA on the whole, Jason, because since it's been back, the big takeaway for me has been every single one of these players who played over in the Olympics, unfortunately ruling out Caitlin Clark, but all of these players who played over in the Olympics, we thought they'd come back and have to suffer some sort of fatigue or something to that degree. Nope, not at all. They're in tip-top shape, and we're seeing that, four season days into this second half of the season. It truly has been great basketball. Caitlin Clark is wonderful. Top 5 in the league in three-pointers made per game, especially after her very slow start. Definitely is, leading the league in assists as well. She's doing what she did in college in the WNBA, and it seems like the Fever have kind of transitioned more to being a Caitlin Clark team, an Iowa style of basketball team where, you play through your best player, which, works. At the end of the day, though, there is a different conversation that we will have here, and that obviously is the MVP, because I think that as much as we talked about this before the All-Star break, Caitlin Clark is your rookie of the year. That was never going to be close. You should have laid whatever number it was preseason. She could have only suited up in 15 games and still probably won it. Angel Reese is leading the league in rebounds right now, I believe, or rebounds per game right now. She's done great, but at the end of the day, Caitlin Clark is the best basketball player in this rookie class.
I mean, she's a one-dimensional player. Crying out
Angel
loud.
Reese?
Yes. She's a rebounder. She's a bruiser. She gets her shots on putback. She doesn't have a big offensive game. And by the way, she'll develop that. She's young enough. She'll develop that. But it's like, I always laughed when people early in the year were like, well, Caitlin Clark's a one-trick pony. She only hits threes and shoots these logo threes. And I'm like, have you watched her? I had no idea she was this good a passer. I had no idea she could pass the basketball this good. That's been what's most eye-opening to me as somebody who casually watches women's basketball, is how good of a passer of the basketball she is.
I think that was kind of at least how I understood her reputation of what made her such a good scorer, was that she never could draw the double team because anytime she could, she's so good at passing out of them. And we saw that through her later days at Iowa, and we see that into her days in the WNBA. The woman is one of the best passers. She's, I'm trying to think of one of the best point guards of all time that's been just throwing these insane dishes, and you can't even think of anyone to compare her to because she sees things develop before they even begin. So the intangibles are definitely what set her apart from the rest of this rookie class. Now, all that said, she is a very, very good WNBA player. She is not, in my opinion, the best, or right now a top 3 player in the WNBA.
I think she's cusp of top 3 right now. I think I'd put her cusp. Now, I will say, part of the problem for Sabrina Ionescu and Breanna Stewart is they play on the same team together. If either of those two are split up and on different teams, then I would make the argument that Caitlin Clark is outside the top 3, because the problem with those two is neither of them could get their full shine because of the fact that they play together. I think I would like to see both of those two split up on different teams. Now we have these WNBA super teams that are going on. But I think Caitlin Clark right now, I don't think it's really a question. I think she's cusp. I think she's cusp of top 3 right now. But and again, we're grasping here a little bit and talking about the margins of, hey, is somebody top 5 or top 6? Oh, you're outside the top 5. You're not a top 5. I'm not going to go there. Can we get to A'ja Wilson? Because we only got a minute, and I feel bad that that's all the time she's going to get, but we were talking about Caitlin Clark. A'ja Wilson, huge numbers yesterday, 34-13 in a win against the Sparks. She just doesn't miss a beat.
It's ridiculous. And what we don't talk about enough, Jason, is the defense that this woman plays as well. She's leading the league in blocks, and she's top 5 in the league in steals. A'ja Wilson is the best basketball player in the WNBA right now. It is not close. Run, don't walk to lay whatever number you can on her to win WNBA MVP. She could get hurt tomorrow, and she'll still win the award.
Yeah, I don't think so if she got hurt tomorrow, but we argued about that off the air. If she got hurt tomorrow and only plays, 25, 26 games, somebody other than A'ja Wilson's going to win. It'll be Caitlin Clark or Sabrina Ionescu or Breanna Stewart. Coming up, something to consider. The real winner in tennis this weekend is not who wins the tournament in Cincinnati. It's next. All right. Odds and Ends wraps up the show in about 10 minutes. But first, Sam Yarnell, something to consider on this Monday edition of Sports Wrap. Something to consider. I don't care who wins the final in Cincinnati between Holger Rune and Jannik Sinner. I don't care who wins that match. The winner of this tournament is Felix Auger-Aliassime, the Canadian. Because that dude showed poise and calm to a measure I can't even fathom when he got screwed to end his match against Runa late. I think it was Friday night because I saw it on Saturday morning. I give all the credit in the world to Al-Asim. For people who didn't see it, this is the controversial point that people are talking about, where Runa, to win the match, hits a ball that hits the ground and then goes up over the net and clips the tape, and it's the last point, and he wins. And the chair umpire says, oh, no, he just hit it over the net. It didn't hit the ground after it hit his racket. It just hit his racket and went over the net. After a lengthy discussion, they brought out the tournament, officiating director, and the call stayed the same because they can't review it. And that's what this, as much as we can get on the chair umpire, and there's plenty of reason to do that, and Sam will do that. To me, the unforgivable sin here, no pun intended to Yannick Sinner, the unforgivable sin here is the fact that you have the ability to go back and look at this. There is every bit of technology in that stadium in Cincinnati to go and look back at what transpired. And they couldn't. And to me, your sport's a joke. Your sport is a joke when you have the ability to get calls right and you don't, especially in key moments like this, Sam.
100%. Really quick, Jason. Jack Draper was Felix Auger-Aliassime's opponent in that match. And, when I first saw this, you want to immediately blame Jack Draper for not saying, because everyone knows it. Felix Auger-Aliassime is right. When you play tennis, if you hit the ball and it hits the ground, it just feels different, especially when you shank it the way Draper did off the frame of the racket.
And the look on his face, by the way, and the look on his face when he hits the shot, you could tell the way he pulls back. He knew that it wasn't a legitimate shot.
Sure. But he's a nobody. You can't fault him for wanting to take the free point on match point against former top 40 player in the world. You can't do that. At the end of the day, this chair umpire was the same chair umpire who just a matter of weeks ago, Jason, you and I came on this very program with our friend Patrick McEnroe and talked about this chair umpire making a horrible call against in the Ben Shelton match against Denis Shapovalov, and Shapovalov being defaulted for some very, very questionable reasons. Same chair umpire makes another horrible decision, and I think there's some irony as well that lies there within something that you mentioned, right? We know that by the rule, I think it's so funny, this chair umpire being cocky about it when Auger-Aliassime's calling for the supervisor. He goes, it's a judgment call, but we can talk about it. Sure. Haha. Like, dude, you are going to lose your job because of the image that you've created around yourself in the tennis community in the day, in the era of social media in which we live. But I think the irony lies within the rule of them not being able to go to replay in a sport that famously, over the course of the last 4 years since the pandemic, has cut out umpires I should say line judges at these smaller tournaments for the use of Hawkeye technology, which in its essence is replay. Horrible look for tennis. You're right, Jason. This sport is a complete joke at this point.
By the way, give credit to Jack Draper. He's actually ranked 25th in the world. He's not a nobody. Best player in Australia. He's the best player out of Australia right now, which is a country that's had some pretty good players. Leighton Hewitt, obviously being the first that comes to mind. Draper's a good player. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with him wanting to win the match. And I don't even know if in that instance, if Draper had pulled back and said, yeah, I double hit it, or it hit the ground first, could they even replay it at that point? Is it a situation where if he said, I am definitively saying the ball didn't go over the net, that it hit the ground first? I wonder if they could have replayed the point in that instance.
Congratulations, Jack Draper, on being named the 25th best tennis player in the world today, August 19th, 2024.
Highest
which is
ranking
also
ever.
His first time breaking the rankings. My goodness, this match against Felix Auger-Aliassime and his run through Cincinnati really put him on the map. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And listen, Jason, at the end of the day, I think this is the same thing that you, me, and Patrick talked about when this whole thing fell out in DC 3 weeks ago. There has got to be some sort of serious change when we talk, because you and I talked so much last NFL season, for instance, about the accountability that we hold against officials. And it seems like somehow, and it's because of this change that I just mentioned into the full use of Hawkeye, we've let tennis completely fly under the radar. That has to stop now.
Well, they're already taking as many steps as they can to take the line judges out. You know, everything is basically Hawkeye now. So, I mean, there isn't much left for them to do. I mean, I don't know how you take a chair umpire and just completely remove him from the equation. But they're obviously going to have to look at this particular chair umpire. Odds and ends in baseball wraps up the show next. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Monday. Reminder, programming note. Tomorrow, we are here. I mean, we're here all the time. But Sports Wrap presents starting Wednesday through the rest of the month. And then we will be back with all new shows beginning on Monday, September 2nd. Can't wait. I'm getting ready to go on a cruise, going to New York City for a few days. And then I'll be on a cruise from New York City to Canada and back. The timing couldn't be worse, but we just didn't plan this thing out that well. There's just no getting around it. Sam, there's no getting around it. We just didn't plan it that well.
Programming note, folks, because I talked to my boss on the air. We're coming back on Labor Day. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of Labor Day, is not working.
It's the start of the football season, man. Oh. And we've got about 100 and just to pull the curtain back a little more before we start odds and ends. We have about 150 new affiliates coming on board on September 2nd. What kind of idiot would I be if they turned it on for the first time and it was the best of Sports Wrap, Jason interviewing Tom Brenneman, and people are just going to be like, huh? Like, I can't do that. So we're on the air. Dude, we did a show New Year's Day. Remember? Because that was the very first day that this show was on television. True story. Very first day this show was on television. After we, moved it from podcast to vodcast form. The very first day the show was on was New Year's Day.
If you go back and watch it, I actually had 2 black eyes in the first show.
Without any further delay, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell, a weekend in baseball. And, oh, my God. Yankees lose 2 of 3 to the Tigers. Clay Holmes sucks.
Oh!
Clay Holmes
Yankees
stinks.
Lose.
Clay Holmes stinks. And let me just say this. This is how dumb this organization is, okay? Let's call up Jason Dominguez for 1 game against arguably one of the best pitchers on the planet right now. So let's call up Jason Dominguez. Now, here's what I can't understand. There was no way this could be a good decision. The best thing that actually could have happened was the fact that he went over and struck out 3 times. And here's why. If Jason Dominguez goes 3 for 3 with 2 home runs, you're sending him back down the next day? There was no way that this decision could be a good one. Like I said, the best scenario was he went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts and you could send him back down to the minors. Because then you could just say, it was just 1 game. He was the 27th man, blah, 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 blah. What if he went 3 for 3? You have nowhere to put him. And then on top of it, ground ball base hit to the outfield. Jason Dominguez feels it, double pumps. Everybody knows you could run on him right now because he doesn't have the greatest arm. And the Yankees lose. I'm so pissed off right now that this team could lose 2 out of 3 to the Detroit Tigers. Not to mention the fact they cost me money on Saturday. They get
Gamble
shut out.
responsibly.
They get shut out by the Tigers on Saturday. Ruined my whole weekend.
Full transparency. The only Yankees baseball I watched over the weekend was Sunday Night Baseball. Was that the only game that Jason Dominguez played for them?
Yes, it was one game. They did a 27th man
so
where you get to call up one hitter.
Right, here's your answer then. The only reason they did that is because, Scranton Wilkes-Barre is right around the corner from Williamsport, and it was a shorter commute for him, and they figured, hey, let's see what he can do. But we're only going to do it for a game. Yeah, horrible managing. I mean, really, you can't draw it up worse than that. The Yankees will be fine. They'll still make it to the ALCS, and then they'll inevitably let Jason down against a team they shouldn't have.
They'll lose to the Astros.
Maybe it'll be the Astros. I could also, really any of the AL West team. Maybe it's the Guardians. Maybe it's because maybe we go into that series and Jason's all hyped up. He's thinking, oh, our 4 are going to shut the Guardians down. We'll be out of there with a sweep and on to the World Series. And then boom, Jose Ramirez hits 7 home runs in the series and drives in 15 runs, and Jason won't know what hit him. That's how this Yankee season will go, folks. It feels like, and Clay Holmes will give up 3 home runs in that series.
Oh my God,
also.
make Luis Hill the closer, please.
Credit to you, though. Credit to you, because you were on that very early, and they gotta do that. I mean, that's gonna be one of their only hopes at this point.
Most
because there's no one they can go get off the street. Waiver wire trades are dead under this new CBA, so they have nothing they can do besides use in-house resources, and their farm system in terms of relief pitching at the very back end is not strong enough for a deep postseason run. They have really, really handcuffed themselves to the back end of this bullpen, which may end up being their demise. Jason, you're right.
Do you have something else you want to throw in the last 40 seconds now that you've just urinated all over my Wheaties?
The Nationals did not have a great weekend.
They're the Nationals! Sorry, Matt.
You lose 3 of 4.
Nationals.
You lose 3 of 4 to Philadelphia, but your boy, the Prince of Picks, was there at the game on site in Philadelphia on Sunday afternoon, and I saw James Wood hit a mammoth home run. I'm gonna have the interns put the video in right here. Yeah, look at that home run, a mammoth shot from James Wood, and the Nats got a win. So how can you not be happy?
I do like the Little League thing that they do
it's very
on that
cool.
Sunday Night Baseball. Jazz Chisholm, props to him. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out. Thank you, Matt Verderame. Thank you, Sam. We'll see you all back here on Tuesday.